are back for another episode of the Back Porch Show with your man, Fonz.
And Quan.
Well, I see that you're doing okay. We had some technical difficulties earlier, so it took a while, but we here.
Yeah.
Technology is something serious.
Yep.
I see that you're doing good. You still here. I'm okay. A lot of stuff happened that I predicted last week, but we ain't gonna go into that just this second. So let's go ahead and jump into the topic. So the college football playoff bracket is now official. And there's a lot of people mad and questioning the bracket. Now, the first four seeds is Indiana with a perfect 13-0 record. They beat Ohio State. Georgia it's number one is Indiana, 2 Ohio State, 3 Georgia, 4 Texas Tech. Georgia, of course, if everybody watched the game, a lot of people, I was at a Christmas party on Saturday watching that game, and there was a guy in there. He was an Alabama fan. He was not too happy, but Georgia got it to the top, one of the top 3 seeds on strength of beating Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So now the matchups for the first round are as follows: Alabama at Oklahoma. That is good. It's 9 versus 8. Press pause. Let's talk about Alabama. I don't understand how Alabama got into the college football playoffs.
Me neither. That's great.
And they lost badly, but their strength of schedule is outstanding. I can't even get mad at them because their strength of schedule. The next one is Miami at Texas A&M. Miami, as everybody know, got in over Notre Dame. Miami made it over the 10-2 Notre Dame at the final at-large spot, mainly due to Alabama's high strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Tulane at Ole Miss. That's going to be an interesting one because everybody knows that Lane Kiffin has now become the coach of LSU, and so I think the offensive coordinator is going to be the interim head coach, or I think he's going to be the coach. I don't know how that went. We're going to see how that turned out. That's tough, but everybody's mad at Lane Kiffin in Mississippi, but we ain't gonna talk about that. And the craziest one, which I didn't expect this one, but James Madison University at Oregon. James Madison won the Sun Belt Championship and is in the other group of 5 representatives facing one of the strongest, and put emphasis on strong, one-loss teams. So here's my problem. People that's in South Bend, Indiana, and that's Notre Dame country, or somewhere out there in Indiana, they're complaining about this, but at the same time, if we look back to like as far as soon as recent as last year, people were complaining about the college football playoff simply because they felt like there was some other deserving teams getting in. Now the thing is that the way it's set up now, because they changed the rules, they allowed 12 teams to come into the playoffs. Everybody's mad that the system is working because teams that we don't kind of equate to having a good football season to qualify for the playoffs, like a James Madison University.
Right, yeah.
They are in the college football play. I really think it's good for the team, for the playoffs and good TV watching, because we already know they're going to go to Oregon and get beat up.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe not. You never know.
Maybe not. I've seen strange things happen. That's why I like college football, because I've seen some things happen. College, athletics is where you get your Cinderella stories.
Right, yeah.
So
I think it's good for TV, and I think it's good for football. I mean,
yeah.
I think everybody should have a chance. And like you said, you just never know. Anything can happen between the white lines. It's a week by week, any given week type of game that can happen. They can pull upset. And, Oregon is definitely favored by a whole lot. But, I mean, I think it's just good that you give the smaller colleges or the unknown colleges a chance to be in the college playoffs. That's awesome.
Right. And so the question arose. I was talking to someone the other day, and we was kind of talking about this, and they felt like the committee got it wrong. And my question to them was, so do you want to go back to the BCS days when it was basically the national championship and everything else?
Mhm.
They didn't have prior to 2014 there was not a playoff scenario. We all cried and cried for a playoff system, and now that we got it,
No,
because the system is working the way it should and it's been changed a few times, now that it's working, now all of a sudden everybody got their panties in a bunch.
right.
And my thing about Notre Dame is, okay, so Notre Dame has 25 collegiate sports that's associated with the ACC. Football is still independent.
Mhm.
So my message to Notre Dame, and you can take over after I get done with this message, because I don't like a lot of whining. Um,
Mm.
Join a conference. Why don't you join the ACC? In football, maybe you will have a chance to be in the playoffs. They was in the playoffs last year. I think they got smiggity smacked. I don't know how that went down. Let me see.
I think you're right.
But I don't know. You can chime in on this one, because that is. I feel like that's why I feel like if you want to get there, you want to start with the big dogs. And don't get me wrong, Notre Dame is a prestigious college. You know what I'm saying? And there's three teams you really think about when you think it's really about five.
Well, they didn't get smacked, but they lost 34-23 to Ohio State.
Got smacked. But but there's certain teams that when you say their name, like Ohio State, like Michigan, like Miami, like Alabama, LSU, Notre Dame. When you say those names, you think of college football. The difference between all those other teams versus Notre Dame is that your football program is not affiliated with no conference. So you're not affiliated with the Big Ten, not affiliated with the SEC. You're not affiliated with the ACC. You're not even affiliated with the American Conference. You're not even affiliated with the Sun Belt. Get in a conference.
Right.
And I saw something today says Notre Dame calls the relationship with the ACC strained after the college football playoff snub. You did not participate in a conference championship. You were off that weekend. So therefore, you really don't have an axe to grind, Notre Dame, because you didn't make it.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, a lot of people is blaming the committee for this. That they got it wrong. A lot of people don't feel like James Madison should be in or whatever. So, but like I said, I think I don't really know how to feel about it. Honestly, if I'm being honest, so my opinion is unbiased. Um, but as we all know, Alabama was given the number 9 seed despite being blown out by the number 3 Bulldogs in the championship game to fall to 10-3 on the season. Many believe that Crimson Tide loss meant both Miami and Notre Dame was going to get in. Instead, the selection committee chose to leave out the Fighting Irish, awarding the Hurricanes the 10 seed, followed by the conference winner Tulane and James Madison. So obviously, nobody has a say so in what goes on. The committee makes a decision on who they feel like should be in the playoffs according to what they think. Do I necessarily agree with that? I don't feel like Alabama should have made it in just being whooped by the Bulldogs either. Um, because Bulldogs got that thorn out their backs of Alabama, and I don't feel like Alabama should be in. But again, a lot of us have opinions about this playoffs, but none of us have a say so in it.
None whatsoever.
So that's something that they're gonna have to take to the committee. Maybe propose a bill to them,
Right.
saying that they feel like it should be different. Should go back to the old ways. But then, in that same token, like you take away from the other teams having a chance at being in the college football. I think it should be made fair. Um,
But how much more fair can they make it? Let's consider this. So I'm looking at James Madison, the James Madison Dukes. They went 12-1 in the South. Was the Sun Belt Conference, followed by Old Dominion at 9-3, Coastal Carolina at 6-6, Georgia Southern at 6-6. So those are your two. Those are the top four teams in that conference. They won their conference.
Right.
Conference winners get, how can I put it? I think in the college football playoffs, the conference winners get precedence because you won your conference, and the fact that they expanded the playoff, you're going to see an American Conference team. Let ECU go 12-1, which I don't see that but let ECU go 12-1. Let somebody else go 12. They're going to be in the college football playoffs. Just
Right.
based off the committee and based off their strength of schedule. There's a lot of metrics that go into selection. But the thing that, like I said, that kills Notre Dame is that they are not a part of a conference. They are independent, just like UConn. UConn 9-3. You don't see them complaining.
Do you agree with RG3 said about if you're going to punish BYU, punish Alabama?
Yes. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Simply because let's look at, so the two losses that stick out to me when it comes down to Alabama is Georgia, and they lost to Florida State early in the year. I think it was week 1. Whereas BYU, if I can research their record live, BYU went 11-2 overall. They in the same conference with Texas Tech, who's in the playoffs, and I believe Texas Tech and BYU met for the conference championship,
Yeah.
and
Just
BYU got blown out.
verbatim from RG3. If you're going to punish by BYU, punish Alabama. Griffin explained Alabama got one extra loss. They both got blown out in their conference championship games. Move them out. Now that you, now that way you put both Miami and Notre Dame in, and you avoid that whole conversation of head to head and all that other
Yeah.
mess that go with it. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think I don't know how Alabama got in there, honestly. But
So
yeah.
BYU and Texas Tech, they're part of the Big 12. So they I called it like the Big Four, with the Big 10 and the SEC, ACC, Big 12.
Right.
I call those the Big Four. Somebody might have a different opinion, but they won the Big 12, Texas Tech. So you cannot move them out. James Madison won the Sun Belt. You cannot move them out. Miami, did they win their conference?
Um
Let's find out.
they might have, but I'm not sure. Miami.
No, Duke actually. So, okay, let's talk about the ACC. So, Duke actually won the ACC, but their overall record was 8-5.
Mm.
In those 8 wins, I do not believe they beat Miami once.
Mm.
So let's look at it. They lost to Tulane, who's in the college football playoffs. They got skull dragged by Illinois. They beat NC State, beat Syracuse,
Mm.
lost to Georgia Tech.
Mm.
Beat Cal, who's in the ACC. I don't understand it. They beat Clemson. They barely lost to UConn. They got beat by Virginia the first time, and then they played Virginia in the ACC championship and won that. So they had the second. I want to say they had the third, fourth, fifth. No, they was way down the totem pole, but they beat who they were supposed to beat to get into the ACC championship. So if you want to really muddy the water up, put Duke in there since they won their conference.
That's true.
But they
I'm
could, but they
sorry.
could not do it
I don't think
simply because you got to go back to the record. You got to go back to the script. They didn't even play Miami,
right.
so you can't even put Duke in there, which is crazy. If anything, I would have an argument for Duke. But that would have shattered the whole college football playoffs because they would have been the worst team in those playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know, man.
Virginia couldn't go because they lost their championship. That's why I'm really wondering about Alabama. But the next best team was Miami, who had the best record in the ACC.
Yeah, that might just be. I ain't gonna lie. I think that was a business move for Alabama to go in the playoffs.
It just smells like it because when in your recent memory, when you really, especially since the college football playoffs have been going on, when have you known Alabama not to be in the college playoffs?
That's true, and that's why I feel like it's a business move.
Which is crazy, but I mean, y'all can let us know in the comments what y'all think about the college football playoffs. Do you think the committee got it right, or do you think, there's some tweaking that need to be to make it fair for everybody across the board? I feel like this. I feel like the college football playoffs, even though it had just been expanded, I feel like, first priority should go to your conference winners. Then second priority should go to the next team that did not, participate in that conference. So you look at the conference winners, you look at the person like Miami, for instance, the situation they're in now. Then you go by strength of schedule. Who played who? And that's like the only reason Miami got in there, because of strength of schedule. Not Miami, but Alabama.
Right.
But y'all let us know in the comments what y'all think, man.